Again, there are seats still up front. There's 2 here, 2 there. There's 2 back by Ryan. And so please, if you need a seat, take a seat. Don't worry about, moving through the crowd. Welcome. My name is Machaela Cavanaugh. I am a senator here in Omaha representing LD6, which is just across the way. Currently we are in LD9, represented by the other Senator Cavanaugh. So I'm gonna go through how this is gonna work, but first I'm gonna have my colleagues all introduce themselves, and some may be making some additional comments, but I'm gonna turn it over to, we'll just start down the row here.
Well, hello, and thank you all for coming. My name is Senator Terrell, and I represent District 3. I'm very excited to hear what Omaha has to say today, since you were previously excluded from the town halls. I'm sure it's going to be And I want you to know that many of us are working on sustainable tax relief bills outside of what you've already been given, because some of us do not agree with what's been presented.
Hi, I'm Christy Armendariz, and I represent District 18. That includes a big chunk of OPS in my district and almost all of Bennington Public Schools. And if anybody is here from Bennington, they know that it is one of the highest mill levies in the entire state. So you can imagine I get a lot of feedback from that area over doing something about property taxes. I have gotten emails from a couple, one that their house was destroyed in a tornado. He still owed July 31st, $14,000 for his property tax and couldn't even live in his house. So he pays $28,000 a year to live in his house. Doesn't make money off of his house. Another one of my constituents pays $24,000 a year to live in their house. And I personally don't think anybody should have to pay $24,000 a year tax to live in their house. I personally don't think that the value of your home should be tied to what is paid in tax. I believe that the budgets of the taxing entities are the important part and have nothing to do with the value of your property. It should be tied to something more consistent like CPI, and that is overall growth really across the country and not your home. We've seen extraordinary home price values in our area. That's not true everywhere, but it is here, and that's a good thing. And I think that we should know what the value of our homes are, but it shouldn't be directly tied to how much we pay in a tax. The taxing entities have budgets just like we all do, just like the companies we work for do. And I think that tying their budget to a CPI increase is more fair. Where we get that, right now we get taxing from property, revenue from property, from income, and from sales. It is exponentially leaning on property taxes for revenues. And I think the 3 need to balance a whole lot more. And then when they are balanced, we can look for waste in government. If anybody doesn't believe there's waste in government, there is. Balance where we're receiving the revenues and then dig into the waste as your next step. That's where I'm at with this property tax bill. I do believe something drastic needs to happen. We push property owners way too far on this without doing anything, and they are screaming very loud that something needs to be done. But I am here to listen to ideas and what will and will not. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy weekend and from your family to participate in this listening session. I know we're all eager to hear your comments and your ideas. My name is Jane Raybould, and I'm a state senator from Lincoln, Nebraska. I've been a state senator for a district that I was born and raised in, and I've represented this district for about 14 years as a Lancaster County Commissioner and on the Lincoln City Council, and now as a state senator. I wanted to thank Senator Machaela Cavanaugh and her team for pulling this session together, both here in Omaha and Lincoln. I guess it was something that must have slipped Governor Pillen's mind by not including the two largest cities in our state, but thanks to Senator Machaela Cavanaugh, we're here to listen to you. I too want to acknowledge that I have heard from so many constituents all across the state of Nebraska, and not just in my district. We all recognize that property taxes are too high, and it especially impacts our seniors and veterans and those individuals that are living on a fixed income. So as we approach these discussions and special session, it is important to also acknowledge that reliance on property taxes for funding public education and local government just didn't happen overnight. This has been a lengthy process spanning several governors and several legislatures where they have shifted the fiscal responsibility from the state to the local communities. It took years for Nebraska to get to the bottom, ranking 49th of all the states in the United States in giving and funding the least amount to public education. For example, in Lancaster County, 62 cents out of every tax dollar goes towards public education, and we're very proud of that. Last year, we passed transformative legislation allocating $1 billion to the Education Trust Fund and $250 million every year going forward. This changed our ranking from 49th at the bottom to now in the middle of the pack. School districts are saying, let that process work through their 3-year budget cycle first to best guide us in our next step. This special session, we must focus on solutions of right-sizing this property tax burden by being thoughtful and deliberative and not rushing without knowing some of the adverse impact on our Nebraska working families. We can't simply rehash the same legislation that we dealt with last session, that it wasn't approved by the businesses, the ag community, and constituents.